Hello and welcome to the new series of Drishti IAS. My name is Pooja Dwivedi. Today we are going to discuss Mission Life Action Plan. LiFE stands for Lifestyle for Environment. As UN Secretary General is on a visit to India, he along with Indian Prime Minister have unfolded this particular mission, unveiled the tagline and logo plus the booklet for it. Moving ahead, we are going to discuss from the perspective of prelims the facts and also from the perspective of GS mains paper third. Before we begin with our topics, let us know about this particular offer that is in the vogue. Now we are offering you a 20% discount on all our pen drive as well as online courses on the auspicious occasion of Diwali, and that will range from 22nd to 25th October. So please take full advantage of this particular order. And of course, we have to understand for that we need a coupon code. The coupon code is Drishti. You can call on this number to know more about this offer. Moving ahead, let's find out what are the points of discussion. There is a comprehensive list that we have prepared for you to understand from the perspective of the examination. Moving ahead, let's first of all talk about the news. World leaders endorse Prime Minister-led Mission LiFE for action against climate change. Now, from Gujarat, from the Statue of Unity, when this mission was launched, many world leaders through video conferencing have congratulated the Indian Prime Minister and the country of India to endorse this particular project. What is this action plan? First of all, let us know about it. Moving from the perspective of this examination, it's important that we know about what are the conceptual clarity, what is it of it. So it is basically a list of ideas on lifestyle change. That means this action plan will provide us with a comprehensive list of what we can do as individuals to ensure that we are aware with respect to climate change and we are reducing our carbon footprint. And these are climate friendly behaviors such as not using one-time use plastic bags, trying to reduce our mobility through fossil-based vehicles, but use cycles instead. Try to use certain things which are sustainable in nature and not releasing any carbon footprint. Focus on the unsustainable lifestyle of the rich nations is the biggest responsibility of it. It is not only for India, but also for the entire world to follow, because the rich countries have the biggest responsibility. Being developed in nature, they started their industrial revolution long decades ahead back from India. So for that, rich nations also have to do that. Local best practices from around the globe will be ensured to be included in this list and practiced it, because this works on the principle of accountability is relative to contribution. How much contribution in greenhouse gas a country or an individual or a sector is doing, similarly will be the accountability to reduce the greenhouse gas emission. Moving ahead, first of all, let's talk about Mission LiFE. What is LiFE? LiFE is actually lifestyle comprehensive list of behaviors that we have to inculcate. It was launched at COP26 in Glasgow on the 26th COP, Conference of Parties of UNFCCC. It means an individual should lead an environmentally conscious lifestyle. It also means that we must replace mindless use of resources and replace it, of course, with mindful and deliberate utilization so that it becomes sustainable in nature. Use and disposed economy to be replaced by a circular economy. One time using it and throwing it away, no. That will be replaced by a circular economy by the help of reuse, reduce and recycle. And India is the first country to include lifestyle for environment in its nationally determined contribution, which comes under the Paris Agreement. It is a set of self-determined contribution that a country undertakes in order to show its contribution with respect to reducing greenhouse gas emission and fighting climate change. Moving ahead, as this comes ahead of the COP27 that is about to happen in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, next month only, we have to understand that LiFE will be the theme of the country's pavilion, and the people who are over there, they are going to attend this COP. They will be given the booklet on LiFE, which I showed you at the beginning. Moving ahead, what is the guiding principle of the LiFE mission action plan? It is that individuals are rational decision makers. This is the basic understanding, that they try to maximize the expected benefit of whatever they are using. But the problem is that we have to transcend the north-south divide. The developed and the developing areas have to ensure that the divide is not large. It's not like richer nations are releasing more carbon footprint and no accountability is there. Southern nations or the less developed nations are not getting enough benefit of whatever they are contributing with respect to reducing their carbon footprint. We have to address the intra-regional issues and differences in experiences of consumption, and it is imperative to enhance global cooperation to reduce resource use. Moving ahead, the objectives is to leverage the strength of social network. Using social media and other sorts of social network and campaigns will help a lot in identifying the needs and of course the responsibility of the individuals with respect to climate change. A global network of individuals by the name of Pro-Planet People, P3, will be created so that we all can understand how important it is for all of us to contribute individually and hence collectively in combating climate change. Moving ahead, what is the need of it? Because right now the entire world is straddling the triple planetary crises, that is climate change, pollution and biodiversity loss. This is triple planetary crisis according to UNEP. The global economy could lose up to 18% of its GDP by 2050 if no action is taking place with respect to this. Paris Agreement and COP Summit in Glasgow these two have shown us the correct way to follow with respect to keeping the greenhouse gas emission at the lowest level. But what do we need? As individuals, we need to understand, if we are going to follow any path, what is the guiding, you can say, set of guidelines we need. So we need guiding framework in which LiFE is very important. Apart from that, information sharing about what are the global best practices, how to coordinate, and the scale of global movement. This is basically an social environmental movement only. So that we can follow this, Government of India has introduced the 21-day challenge pledge. Now it is imperative and most talked about that it takes 21 days to make a lifestyle a habit, So that is why 21-day challenge has been produced by the Indian government. You can click here and take a pledge with respect to what you are going to do for 21 days, how you are going to do some things at the individual level so that you can reduce your carbon footprint. Carbon footprint is basically the amount of emission that you give or contribute into the environment by not sustainably using your transport, by using too much energy and electricity at light, by not sustainably using water resources. So there are many things. Moving ahead, so one thing that we have understood over here, the government has provided us with the guidelines. Now we have to nudge ourselves. More than 2/3 of the greenhouse gas emission can be attributed to household consumption and lifestyle. And this is in line with, this mission LiFE is in line with Goal 12 of the Sustainable Development Goals, which wants to ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. Alright, moving ahead to other aspects. How do we walk through the lifestyle changes? See, it has been said by UNEP that when we deploy nudges means to slightly change the direction of the path. Okay, so when we do that with the help of gentle persuasion techniques, we can adopt to lifestyle changes. For example, the UNEP employs proven nudging techniques. That is these 3 sets. Discouraging food waste by offering small treats in cafeteria. Take only that much which you can eat. How much you can eat. Because if you are going to waste food, more and more agricultural land has to be maintained for you, and then for that deforestation will occur. So this is the reason. Encouraging recycling by making bin lids eye-catching. So reuse and not waste anything. So for that, this is also that. Encouraging cycling by creating cycle paths. If proper cycling paths are created, people might want to cycle to work instead of using other vehicles. Now, if we have to understand from other perspective, behavioral tools can also be used, such as banning economic incentives so that people can use something which is of sustainable nature more, prefer it more over something that does not have any incentive. For example, if you get tax incentive over the production of electric vehicles rather than the common fossil vehicles, fossil-based vehicles, you might want to produce them. From the consumption side also, similar incentives can take place. Education and information is also a major part, such as labeling of items if they are of unsustainable nature or sustainable nature. What is the basic process to produce that that product can also be taken into consideration, then only people will buy it, something like that. Pro-planet people, India wants to ensure that the entire world becomes a pro-planet people by the year 2027, and each stakeholder is nudged according to differentiated approach. They might get different approaches because everyone is unique in their approach. Moving ahead, let's talk about the global status of emission. This is jam-packed with data, so kindly write it down. Now, it is said that 72% of greenhouse gas emission is related to household consumption. That means whatever you are consuming and doing at your homes, like using energy too much, more than needed, wasting food, not recycling things that can be recycled, using use and throw items. So these are the specifically we talk about plastic items. These are household consumption. Food system account for 20%. That means maintaining agriculture land, maintaining cattle for animal husbandry. Mobility accounts for 17% of greenhouse gas emission. That means you can see of three, the most important is the household. That means us as individuals. Moving ahead, let's talk about other important points. The average carbon footprint of a person in a high income country is more than 80 times higher than that of a person in least developed country. So who has more accountability? The richer nations. Moving ahead to the other part. Now, if we talk about contributions in India, the per capita emission while in India is far lower than that of Western country, but we can see there is an upward tick or an upward trajectory with respect to growing middle class households. When middle class households will increase, household consumption will increase, and if it is wasteful, then of course greenhouse gas emission will increase. Of a billion, we can say 280 millions are projected to be from India in this particular category, middle class household category. The household energy used in India is to increase by 65 to 75% between the years 2005 to 2050. So we are seeing an upward tick in this economic situation. So that is why we need to understand environmentally we have to be sustainable. The carbon footprint of an individual from a high income category in India is equal to 45% of the global average, and an individual from a middle income is about 23% of the global average. Okay. Moving ahead, let us talk about the other important aspect. The transportation sector in India, huge population we have. We try to use such transportation which is sustainable in nature economically. So what happens is the transportation sector has increased to 24% between the years 2000 and 2019. And currently, although it is only 14% of CO2 emission by fuel consumption, but it is going to increase in the future if we are not adopting electric vehicles. Now, what are the challenges? First of all, India as a country and the entire world is seeing unprecedented urbanization in non-metropolitan city, in smaller city, where proper networks of infrastructure is not there, and that creates lopsided problems. Too much pressure on the resources of such cities occur, and unsustainable living means occur because of that. There is a lack of awareness on the part of the people. They do not know how they are going to manage living environmentally sustainable. So that is the problem. That is why we have the pledge and want of sustainable substitutes. It can happen that we want to become environmentally aware. We do not want to use polythenes and use and throw items, but there are no substitutes for it. If India gets this research done with respect to developing better substitutes, then people might switch. And there is a habitual monotony. People do not want to change. This is the general fact with respect to environment, they don't take it seriously. So we need to create awareness. Sometimes it can also happen that people think, what if I do something, it won't count, but it counts in the long run. If everybody thinks like that, we are not going to reach anywhere. So there is an emasculation of micro behaviors. That means demeaning of micro behaviors. If I do this, what will happen? Nothing will happen. This kind of behavior is not going to take us anywhere. There are certain initiatives that India has taken over the past years, such as the United Nations, keeping in mind the United Nations Decade of Action for Attainment of Sustainable Development Goals. India ensured that it has extended producer responsibility. If you're producing certain items which can be reused, you have to have a policy with respect to consumers taking it back to the producer. Other than that, India also wants to become a circular economy by the concept of reduce, reuse, and of course recycle. For that, NITI Aayog has maintained certain committees for the development of circular economy action plans for different category of waste and segregation of waste. What can be reused, what can be recycled, and what can be thrown away or processed from a different perspective. Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change is the nodal ministry for circular economy action plan for tire and rubber, so that they don't go wasted. Guidelines on the extended producer responsibility were notified in the year 2022 for plastic packaging under the Plastic Waste Management Rules of 2016. That is also a part of the LiFE mission. Moving ahead, let us talk about the Green Good Deeds, which was launched in the year 2018 in the month of January by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. This is a movement. It is a social movement in which mass environment awareness in the society at all levels were created. With respect to that, we have the National Green Course under the Eco Club program. Every school has an Eco Club in which many drives happen, such as cleanliness drives, plantation drives, awareness on waste management. Apart from that, minimizing use of single-use plastic, eco-friendly celebration of festivals such as Diwali. So if children are going to learn from the beginning, they are the future of the country. They will replicate the benefits of the same when they are grown up, and then similarly they will tell it to their progeny. Okay. Moving ahead, let us talk about the way forward. Way forward has to be based on mobility, household energy, food consumption, and material use as well. Let us divide them in different categories. So in different categories, if we divide them in household, recognizing the importance of urban energy use and CO2 emission, it is important. Which vehicle, which appliance has a lot of carbon footprint, that has to be minimized. Apart from that, the concentration of infrastructure can be also, you can say, developed in such a manner that not too much concentration occurs at one place, because that can lead to many problems in the future, such as flooding as well. Then mobility, switching to zero emission vehicles is important. And for food consumption, promoting sustainable composting habits so that agriculture does not become producer of carbon footprint, support local sourced food, and of course changes in dietary pattern. More and more people, if they become vegetarian, this is not what I am saying, but this is what the critics are saying, then animal husbandry will come down. Cattle is a lot more you can say responsible for methane emission, and that is also a greenhouse gas. So that is what we are saying here. Then food waste management, if food is getting wasted, if we are not able to eat whatever food we have left with us, how to manage that as well, because if we are going to waste it, more and more people will remain hungry, more and more agricultural lands and land management has to take place. Moving ahead, from the perspective of energy consumption, we have to ensure that we take up electric vehicles, carpooling, ride sharing services can also help. Apart from that, energy efficient smart devices and using AC, air conditioning at a optimal level is also important. That was also addressed by the Prime Minister in the current scenario. Decentralized rooftop solar panels, if we install them, although it is very expensive, but in the long run it is going to help us a lot. So for that, government can also chip in with respect to subsidies and ensure that producers are not at a loss with respect to producing these solar rooftops. Moving ahead, let us talk about our question for today. What are the motives of and the challenges to Mission Lifestyle for Environment? In 250 words you have to write. That's it. Thank you so much for watching.